Listen carefully, because what is unfolding behind the guarded gates of Buckingham Palace right now is not just another royal disagreement, not another polite palace dispute buried under tradition and ceremony. No, what's happening is far more explosive. A reigning king is quietly surrendering real authority to his son while his own wife stands directly in the path of that transfer of power. The palace isn't just dealing with scandal, it's dealing with a silent internal coup. And at the center of it all are four names shaking the very foundation of the British crown: King Charles, Prince William, Queen Camilla, and the shadow of Prince Andrew. For nearly 1,000 years, the British monarchy has survived disasters that would have destroyed any other institution. Wars, assassinations, abdications, political rebellions, entire empires collapsing. The crown endured everything and kept standing. But insiders now say the drama exploding inside Buckingham Palace in 2026 feels different, because the threat isn't coming from outside enemies anymore. It's coming from within the family itself. According to multiple palace insiders, King Charles is doing something that almost no modern monarch has ever done. He is slowly stepping back and quietly handing decision-making power to Prince William, not through a public abdication, not through an official announcement, but through behind-the-scenes authority transfers that insiders say are already reshaping who actually runs the monarchy. And the most shocking twist? The person resisting this shift isn't a political rival or rebellious royal cousin. It's Charles's own wife, Queen Camilla. Yes, the same woman Charles spent decades defending, protecting, and ultimately placing beside him on the throne, is now reportedly clashing with the future king in a power struggle that palace aides describe as increasingly impossible to ignore. And believe it or not, this entire chain reaction may have started with a single date that historians might one day circle in red ink: February 19th, 2026. That was the day everything detonated, because that was the day Prince Andrew, once one of the most protected figures in royal history, was arrested. The charge? Allegedly sharing confidential government documents with individuals connected to the Jeffrey Epstein network. Let that sink in. A senior royal, arrested in connection to one of the most infamous criminal networks of the modern era. The palace instantly went into crisis mode. Phones were ringing non-stop. Reporters flooded the gates of Buckingham Palace. Social media exploded with accusations, speculation, and outrage. The monarchy, already fragile in public opinion, suddenly looked dangerously close to a reputation catastrophe. And while much of the royal family froze in shock, one person was already moving: Prince William. Sources close to palace staff say William had been mentally preparing for exactly this kind of disaster for years, not because he expected Andrew to be arrested specifically, but because he knew the monarchy was sitting on a ticking time bomb of scandals waiting to erupt. And when it finally did, William didn't hesitate. Royal commentators say the Prince of Wales immediately began coordinating responses, pushing for decisive action, and demanding that the institution cut ties with anyone whose presence could damage the monarchy's future. One royal analyst even revealed that King Charles had effectively already given William operational control over how the Andrew crisis would be handled. In other words, the heir to the throne was no longer just waiting in line. He was running the strategy. And if that sounds shocking, the truth is the groundwork for this moment had actually been building for years. Back in 2019, when Prince Andrew attempted to defend his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein during that now infamous BBC interview, many inside the palace knew instantly that the situation had become catastrophic. That interview became one of the most jaw-dropping examples of royal misjudgment ever broadcast. Andrew tried to explain the friendship. He tried to defend himself. Instead, he made the situation 10 times worse. According to royal biographer Russell Myers, Prince William watched the fallout closely and was deeply alarmed by what he saw. While others in the royal family tried to manage the crisis quietly, William reportedly went straight to senior figures, including his father and Queen Elizabeth II, with a brutally clear message: Andrew needed to be removed immediately. No half measures, no quiet damage control, full separation from royal duties. But back then, William's warnings were largely ignored. The late Queen Elizabeth was fiercely protective of her son. Charles, still Prince of Wales at the time, found himself caught between loyalty to his mother and concern for the monarchy's future, so Andrew remained. And William kept watching, kept warning, kept pushing. According to insiders, he repeatedly told palace advisors that the monarchy's relationship with the public was hanging by a thread, and that protecting the institution had to come before protecting any individual, even a family member. At the time, those words sounded dramatic. In 2026, they sound prophetic, because now, with Andrew arrested and Charles simultaneously battling cancer, William's role inside the monarchy has transformed almost overnight. He is no longer the quiet heir preparing patiently in the background. He is the man making the decisions. Sources confirm that over the past several months, William has been central to nearly every major action taken against Andrew, stripping titles, removing privileges, cutting remaining royal ties, and reorganizing the palace flawless response to the scandal. And King Charles, exhausted and painfully aware of the stakes, is letting him do it. To understand why Charles is allowing this shift, you have to understand the enormous pressure sitting on the monarch's shoulders. Charles became king in September 2022 at age 73, the oldest person ever to inherit the British throne. He had waited his entire life for that moment. But just 17 months into his reign, devastating news arrived: cancer. The palace never revealed the exact type publicly, but treatment began immediately in early 2024. Even while undergoing treatment, Charles continued performing royal duties, appearing at events, maintaining official responsibilities, and trying to project stability to the public. Then another devastating blow struck the royal family. Princess Kate, the Princess of Wales and arguably the most beloved royal in the entire institution, revealed that she too had been diagnosed with cancer following abdominal surgery. Suddenly, the monarchy faced a terrifying reality. The king was ill, the future queen was undergoing treatment, and the two figures expected to carry the monarchy's public image were simultaneously fighting life-threatening diseases. That level of pressure at the top of an institution is almost unimaginable. According to insiders, it forced Charles to confront a difficult truth: the monarchy's future could not wait. Responsibility had to begin shifting now, and that meant empowering William. But the deeper William moves into real authority, the clearer another problem has become. Because while Charles appears willing to pass the torch quietly, Queen Camilla is not nearly as comfortable with the pace or the direction of that transition. And that resistance is about to trigger one of the most explosive internal clashes Buckingham Palace has seen in decades. The palace walls may look calm from the outside, but behind them, the atmosphere has turned icy. Because after months of tension, whispers, and strategic maneuvering, the quiet power shift inside Buckingham Palace has now erupted into something far more dangerous: a full-blown royal confrontation. And the battle lines are clear. On one side stands Prince William, the future king, armed with growing authority from his father and a vision for a radically modernized monarchy. On the other side stands Queen Camilla, the woman who spent decades fighting to become queen, now refusing to quietly surrender influence to the next generation. What began as disagreements over strategy has turned into something much deeper: a struggle over control of the crown itself. According to multiple insiders, the breaking point came in late February 2026, when William decided the palace could no longer operate under divided leadership. He reportedly summoned Camilla for a private meeting, one that palace staff say was far more direct than anything normally heard inside royal circles. The message was simple and brutal. Camilla had to publicly distance herself from Sarah Ferguson immediately. To understand why that demand exploded into controversy, you have to understand the connection between these women and the scandal now surrounding the monarchy. Sarah Ferguson, the former wife of Prince Andrew, has been part of Camilla's life for nearly half a century. Their friendship stretches back to the 1970s, long before either woman became entangled in royal drama. To Camilla, that friendship is personal history, but to William, it represents a serious reputational risk, because Sarah Ferguson's name appears inside documents connected to the Epstein investigation released by the U.S. Department of Justice. And now, to be clear, there has been no evidence of criminal wrongdoing by Ferguson, but the documents show she had direct communication with Epstein, including emails requesting financial help during difficult periods in her business ventures. One message from 2009 reportedly included a desperate plea for money. And to William, that connection is unacceptable. His philosophy is brutally simple: anyone linked to the Epstein scandal must be cut off. No exceptions, no personal loyalties, no sentimental friendships, just distance. Total distance. According to insiders, William believes the monarchy is fighting for its survival in the court of public opinion, and the only way to rebuild trust is to demonstrate absolute zero tolerance for anyone even remotely connected to scandal. But Camilla sees the situation very differently. To her, abandoning a lifelong friend because of public optics feels cold, unnecessary, and unfair. She reportedly argued that Ferguson has not been charged with any crimes and should not be treated as guilty simply because of associations. In Camilla's view, loyalty matters. But in William's view, the monarchy comes first. And when those two values collide, William has made it clear which one wins. That clash is what triggered the most extraordinary moment of the entire crisis. Because insiders say William didn't just make a request, he issued an ultimatum. Either Camilla publicly distance herself from Sarah Ferguson, or accept that she would be damaging the monarchy during its most vulnerable moment in decades. Pause for a second and think about what that means. A future king delivering an ultimatum to the reigning queen consort. That almost never happens. But according to palace sources, William felt empowered to do it because King Charles had already granted him final authority over how the Andrew scandal would be managed. In other words, the king himself had placed William in charge, and Charles backed his son, while Camilla resisted. That division, the king and his heir aligned on one side, the queen consort on the other, has created a tension inside Buckingham Buckingham Palace that insiders say is impossible to hide anymore. But the drama doesn't stop there. Because while the public focuses on William and Camilla, another figure has quietly become one of the most powerful players in the entire crisis: Princess Kate. Behind closed doors, Kate Middleton has reportedly stepped into a role far larger than the public ever expected. Sources say she has been heavily involved in crisis strategy meetings, working with palace advisors, legal teams, and communications staff to coordinate how the monarchy responds to the Andrew scandal. She has helped draft statements, advised William on messaging, and even participated in internal planning discussions about the monarchy's long-term survival. In short, she is no longer just the supportive spouse of the heir to the throne. She is acting like a partner in leadership. And insiders say that development has deeply irritated Camilla. Their relationship has never been particularly warm, but this new dynamic has intensified the tension dramatically. One palace insider described the situation bluntly. Inside palace corridors, the meaning of that shift is becoming impossible to ignore. The future of the monarchy is no longer theoretical. It is already unfolding. The old generation technically holds the titles, but the new generation is increasingly exercising the power. And this transformation extends far beyond a single scandal. William has been quietly outlining what his reign will look like once he eventually becomes king. Queen Camilla still holds the title, but the real authority, the strategic authority shaping the monarchy's future, is rapidly shifting toward Prince William. And everyone inside those palace walls knows it. The transfer of power hasn't been officially announced, but in practice, it has already begun.